Welcome, Tiny Hands, Big Dreams. Today we're going to do a bit on a long life trail camera. Some people call them a game cam. We didn't buy. This was a present for the child. Grandfather bought him a game cam. I had a lot of fun with it. We put it out all over the place. It is your generic made in China kind of cam. The problem is, it says it's waterproof, and it was for 6 months. Started to cause problems. We pulled it open. We got the water out of it. The battery pack also started to be a problem with connectivity. It also ate batteries. So we switched to rechargeables. Rechargeables, however, have a lower voltage. Unfortunately, the lower voltage means that it goes underneath its acceptable range pretty quickly. And when it does that, it stops working. So we're changing batteries every 2 to 3 days with rechargeables, which is just a pain. You couldn't put it far away. When we moved, we somehow lost all of our rechargeable AA's. We had like 40 of them. They're all gone. So batteries here are very expensive. They're like $5 a battery. It's ridiculous. Alkalines are like $3 or something. It's $2. We can't just keep changing batteries. Now, I had a spare pair of lithium prismatic batteries that we used for our house battery bank, which looks like, let me show you a quick picture. Okay, so that's a 16 cell pack. I had 2 spares because there's always a couple that just aren't quite the same as the others, and sure enough, I had a couple that just weren't the exact same levels. I switched them out. The spares, however, are perfectly good. Now, they're 3.3 volts each. If I wire them in series at 6.6 volts, which is right in the spec range for this camera. Hey, they're expensive batteries. They're probably $150 a piece, and there's 2 of them in there. That's a $300 battery pack. But I already had them, and they're doing no good. They're just sitting in a box. So we have moved them to this guy. Now, the problems we had is, one, it wasn't waterproof. Okay? I ramshackled together a little wooden stand, a little rain hat. Even in the most Amazonian 3-day torrential downpours, it has stayed dry. It's a piece of vinyl stapled on. The batteries are nicely protected inside here. This is relatively waterproof, impact proof. The wood provides a nice bit of thermal insulation for the strong sun that hits it. You don't want your batteries to cook. So let's go ahead and open this up and show you what I've done. Now the foot here, I have kind of as an eccentric cam. I'll show you that real quick. I can move it to change the front height, which changes where the camera points, which actually comes in, it lets us point up a hill better or down a hill if we're sitting on weird terrain. It's a simple thing that we can do to try to get a better angle. Okay, so inside here is the 2 prismatic cells. We have some very simple wiring. I have a fuse. You should always have a fuse. This is the line out that goes to the camera, which was repurposed from someone. We bought this in town. They had it to like a little portable boombox or something. The batteries are wired positive to negative, and then I pull off the other positive and negative, which is in series. So they call these out 230 amp hour, 3.29 volts. 3.329. That's about where they sit. These last probably about a year, year and a half. It's incredible how much capacity is in this versus the tiny little original battery pack. So I've done a couple of things to it. The compression, there's a little bit of foam here. There's research from the manufacturer that squeezing the batteries gently actually makes them live longer. When they go through charge cycles, they actually expand and contract a little bit, and they'll start to get a little bit of a shape to them. If you just hold them flat, and a tiny bit of cushioning is sufficient for that, with just a little bit of compression, they'll hold flat forever. They don't internally degrade quite as bad. The plastic bag here, I've just set them in the bag, and I put them inside because we had it sitting in floodwaters, and the blue coating on this is very thin heat shrink plastic, and it's actually an insulator. If it gets the tiniest little nicks, they can arc between each other. If there's water in there, it can create a circuit path. They really like to be held solidly, firmly, softly. They don't like any wiggle. They don't like movement. People put these in RVs, and they don't actually hold them in a solid enough way, and they get just a little bit of wiggle, or they rub their casing, and sometimes they use a metal casing, and they end up with shorts and fires. Wood's a great insulator, protects them solid. There's foam in between them, there's foam behind them, and there's foam on the front. And then I use all the screws to give it just that little bit of squish, just a tiny bit. So that's what's in here. This is just another piece of vinyl that I use to help if water were to come in and hit this, it just deflects it down. So we've had a lot of fun with this. We've caught stuff back in Tennessee, and we've caught stuff here. I'll show you a quick picture. Some of the fun things. So this is just this is one of those pieces of kit that you don't think about, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go like live off grid and homestead and things, and oh, I need myself a game cam. You don't think about that, but you do, because all of a sudden one day a chicken's missing, or the dog's freaking out at night, and you're like, what in the world was that? You don't know. This solves that problem. You can put it somewhere far away. You can pick up animals that you didn't even realize were there. This particular brand, I wouldn't necessarily recommend. There's a ton out there that are generic and look just like it. Read the reviews, find a good quality one. It can be different. It does have night vision. It's direct infrared, direct illumination, so it has little LEDs that light up. Some animals do see them, so it'll turn on, and you'll see, certain animals like look over and like they'll see the light. And that's about it. But this solves a lot of problems, and it's something you didn't realize you needed. So there you go. Episode of Homestead Hardware. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you for the next one.